Hi, this is Kamera again. We're on day number 309, John chapter 3 through 4. So it starts off with this Jewish leader. His name is Nicodemus. And he seeks Jesus out, but he seeks Jesus out at nighttime. And so by them pointing that out, it makes me believe that he didn't want anyone else to know that he was going. But he is curious. He wanted to talk to Jesus. And he starts off and he says that they believe that God actually sent Jesus to teach them. And so Jesus says that they have to be born again in order to enter into the kingdom of heaven. They have to be born again. Nicodemus would question Jesus. Jesus talked to him. Nicodemus like, how can I be born again? And so Jesus just taught him about it. He has to believe in order to have eternal life. God gave his only son, and whoever believes in him will not perish, but have everlasting life. God's light came to the world. And you have people who refuse the light because it exposes their sin. So they're going on and on and on. So just make sure you read that interaction between Jesus and Nicodemus, and you love the fact that Nicodemus really sought Jesus. And I love that because that tells us we have to really seek him. We might hear stuff, but you have to be the one to take the initiative to seek him. And that's what he's doing. He's finding out those answers. So fast forward, it talks about John the Baptist, his disciples, they come to him because Jesus is baptizing people as well. And a lot of people are going to Jesus instead of coming to them. And so John tells him, well, he has to. God sent Jesus. He's God's son. And he explains to them, my job was just to prepare for this moment, for Jesus. And I must decrease. I must be lesser while he becomes greater. And so Jesus is from above. This is what he tells him. Jesus is from above. He's greater than everyone else. And he says, God's spirit in him is without limit. All right? And anyone who believes in God's son will have eternal life. That's what he tells his disciples. So John knew what his purpose was. He was just to prepare. Isn't that something? Yeah. So fast forward, Jesus is traveling and they go through Samaria. He goes to this well and he notices this woman there. And I'm sure he didn't just notice she was there. He knew what it was going to happen. He knew the lady was at the well, but he goes to the well and there's this woman there and he asks her for something to drink. And she's like, you're asking me for something to drink? You are Jewish and I'm Samaritan. So Jesus was like, if you know who you were talking to, you'll be asking me for something to drink, instead of. And she checking him out. He got no robe, he has no bucket, how you gonna get water, all this stuff. So they start to talk. And so Jesus tells her that he has living water. He reveals some things that he knows about her. And then he tells her, he informs her that she was like, well, I hear the Christ is here. And, he'll explain everything to us. He is the Messiah. And so Jesus was like, well, that is me. I'm the Messiah. And so she's like, whoa. Well, I shouldn't say, whoa, I'm just saying it. Just imagine, right? And so as he's talking to her, the disciples come up and they're like shocked, like, wait, he's talking to a Samaritan woman? They would have loved to confront Jesus about that, but they didn't. So the lady leaves, and so she's gone, and she's gone into the village, and she's telling them about this man who says he's the Messiah, and how he even revealed some things about her. Meanwhile, Jesus' disciples are basically asking him, telling him to eat. And he's like, well, my nourishment comes from God. And then he starts talking about, they're like, nourishment, well, you're not hungry. My nourishment comes from God. And he says just to do God's will, basically. He talks about the harvest and the planting and, just to do God's will. And then he tells them that the fields are ripe. Harvesters are paid well, good wages, and the fruit are people who are brought to eternal life. That's the fruit. Isn't that something? So he's talking to them about that. And remember the woman he was talking to had gone out to the village and was talking about Jesus. They come and they beg Jesus to stay. Jesus stays for 2 days. And they were like, we believed what you told us, lady, but we really believe now that we've heard Jesus. Isn't that something? He was traveling through and he saves people while he was traveling through. Jesus took advantage of every opportunity. So fast forward, Jesus, when he leaves there, he's traveling through Galilee. And then there's this government official who hears that Jesus is there. And so his son is sick and he begs Jesus to come to see to heal his son because his son is about to die. If Jesus doesn't come, he's going to die. And so Jesus says, will you never believe in me? Will you never believe in me until you see miraculous signs and wonders? Go back home. Your son will live. Now, that is some good stuff because this is what happened. On this man, this man is on his way home now, doing as you say, he's leaving, going home. And so on his way home, a servant meets him. And his servant tells him, your son is alive and well. And so this man's like, when did this happen? So they told him, well, around yesterday, his fever broke around 1 o'clock. And so the man remembered that is when Jesus told him to go home, his son will live. And so his whole family believed Jesus and they were saved. They believed in Jesus and they were saved. That's awesome, right? So one of the things I want to point out that I probably missed, remember the woman who's at the well, she had beef with, when I say beef, had issues with the Jews where they serve or what have you. And so Jesus was telling her, it doesn't matter where you serve. He says, God is spirit, and you must worship him in spirit and in truth. It doesn't matter where you worship him. It doesn't matter where you worship Jesus. He is spirit. Worship him in spirit and in truth. Isn't that something? So this word today, this reading, oh my God, so good. Make sure you read it. I'm sure there's something I left out. God's word is so good. Lord, what is it you want us to learn from your word today? Okay? That's what you do because he wants us to learn and to believe so that we'll have eternal life. So there you go. There you go, guys. That's day number 309, John chapter 3 through 4. You have a God-filled blessed day.